Lou?
Yes.
Lou, are you there?
Maybe.
Earth to Lou. Nano. How's it going?
Oh boy. I don't know.
I don't know either. So I guess like the first thing we should talk about is that the show's moving to Fridays.
Yay.
It'll still be Fridays at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
But Thursdays is just becoming difficult to hit without a little bit of stress.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to give ourselves that extra day.
Okay.
Because we are, adults with responsibilities other than the podcast.
And we just can. I think maybe.
Look,
right?
if we could do the podcast full time, we could do like daily episodes and live events. And
no one wants to hear us daily.
I don't know. I beg to differ. I think that the more that I look at it, I
don't even want to hear me daily.
The more that I look at content creators, the more that I'm seeing the people who really like surface to the top are just constantly putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
I think with a podcast, you can get away with like a weekly cadence, but you definitely would do better if you had something coming out from that group every day.
Yeah.
Which we technically could do with the podcast, right? We could put a clip, every day of the week, we could put a clip from the episode for that week out like as a hype.
Yeah.
And then boom, right? But I don't know. That seems like a lot of goddamn work.
And we already work.
Maybe that's what we need to do to make this a thing, right? Like, we probably also have to come up with some sort of like reliable format and not just like this week's questions. Next week's we're going to talk about poop.
Poop.
So how have you been?
Well, I found out some sad news.
Oh no.
You're like, it's even late when we're recording this, but.
Oh, I just yelled. Because I was yelling.
It's a little too conversational. Yeah. So when I lived in Arizona, I worked at a place and.
We were living in Arizona.
We were living in Arizona. Yeah. And.
I was in the picture at this point, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I worked at a camera photo lab place and.
Art Shutterbug.
Yeah. And my coworker, Dave, who, he and I got pretty close, and he's like a father figure to me in the all the best ways.
Because he's
in his 70s.
Yeah,
he's 74.
He's an older. Well, when you knew him, he was not 74.
Oh, no.
This was 25 years ago. Yeah. So it was like,
yes, exactly.
He was in his 50s, so he was like a father figure to you. Yeah.
And so I call him Pops, and he calls me, his daughter, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And he always remembers our kids' birthdays, and so
he's a good dude.
It's a sweet thing. But his partner of 51 years passed away, and
that's rough.
I can't stop thinking about it. I feel, I wasn't as close with him as I was with Dave, I am with Dave, but. My heart just hurts for him. I feel terrible and sad, and they've been together since 1970 or something, and
that's crazy to me. That is 4 years older than me, and I feel like the late 1900s is a crazy time to have been born, but to have started a relationship of 51 years, that's insane.
Yeah,
amazing, but it just feels like a crazy amount of time.
Yeah. And I'm having a lot of trouble, like.
Couple goals though, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because Sam is very soft spoken, and he's very, he'd give the shirt off his back if he thought he needed it. Yeah. And he's always there, like, to just talk to, and he is a really sweet, kind soul. Yeah. And I know Dave's going to miss him very, very much. Yeah. But I don't know how to reconcile it because they're very religious. Yeah. And it's not a huge deal. It's just kind of an annoyance every once in a while because they'll talk about the end of days kind of thing. And I'm all, I don't know what to say about that.
As Christians tend to do.
Yeah. And I mean, right now I'm like, well, maybe it is. But
maybe they're onto something.
But, people that are trying to console him are like, oh, he's in a better place. And no, his better place would be here.
Well, we don't know.
I mean, it's just really hard for me to like.
We don't actually know what happens, right? Like, maybe it is. Maybe this is the bad place.
Yeah. And if you really think about it, even Buddhism teaches that, this life is suffering and is a practice and is learning. And so there is always a form of suffering and trial and error and falling down and failing and getting back up. And, it's a practice, right? And so maybe the next life is better or whatever is beyond it. But it's just really hard for me because how do you go? I'm like, you and I have been together for 25 years. How in the world, double that? How in the world does someone go on? And I mean, it's just, I'm having a hard time with it. I can't stop thinking about it.
It's going to be tough.
I can't stop thinking about him.
Yeah.
And, it was a quick ish kind of a thing. And, an undetected kind of cancer. And you're just like, well, gee, good night.
Have you considered reaching out and talking to him on the phone or something?
Well, yeah. But I mean, I just don't want to get into the religious. That's what I'm having a hard time with it because it's going to inevitably turn religious because.
And that's a bit of a trigger
it's like,
for you.
He couldn't wait to go home to God. And I don't know what to say or do with that.
It's not that you judge his belief system.
No.
It's that you just are uncomfortable talking about it.
I can't get into, I don't, like, that's just not my wheelhouse at all.
I'm there for you. I can, I was raised around the church mostly as a child, right? Like my parents weren't like super religious, but if they had friends that were, we were.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know, I can hold my own talking about that stuff. And I have had some pretty bad religious traumatic experiences as a child, and into my adulthood, I guess too. But yeah, it just basically makes me feel uncomfortable, and I don't really want to have those conversations. I will if I have to, but I don't really want to.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand that 100%.
And the way I was raised is almost religious, just without the religion. It's the olden times way of raising kids.
You had all the strictness, but none of the Jesus.
Yeah. Like it was all the like, honor thy mother and father without the biblical, citing Bible verses at me, right?
Yeah.
It was all those, hey, the 10 Commandments without saying it outright.
Yeah,
and then I went there was a lot of like trauma around Sunday school for me. And I just, it's not that I don't respect it. It's just that, keep it away from me.
Well, it can be weaponized just like any other thing, right?
Yeah, I feel very uncomfortable about it.
I think a lot of times, even parents who wouldn't be described as very religious people tend to weaponize the Bible and the teachings and God and all of that stuff as a way to keep their children in line.
Yeah, it's a fear tactic that I'm not okay with.
It's not fun at all.
And then when this big scary thing like death is wrapped in this cloak of an opened armed man that will accept you. Like it just, maybe that's comforting for some. I get that. I get the why of it.
Yeah.
But for me, because I don't believe that, it's still kind of like a little bit of a scary thing. I believe in the universe, and I believe in that things that are meant for me happen to me, or things that are meant for other people happen to other people.
Yeah.
And not necessarily as far as like fate is concerned, but like, there's a general path that you can control, and then there's things that you can't control.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's something larger than us. I'm not so naive to believe that, we're more than just insignificant specks of dust on a blue ball floating around in the universe.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there's a magical wizard in the sky.
Yeah, and that's
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's so one, all I can say is, oh, my heart is with you, like, all these things, right? But then there's a degree of, well, if I say anything more, then it's just, he has a lot of support and care right now, which is good because he is in his 70s and he's had heart problems and stuff. And so I don't want him to be alone or feel alone. And so in that way, I want to like look out for him and take care. But at the same time, I don't know. It's all a very it's a nerve-wracking thing right now.
And with all the other stuff going on in the world and you and I personally going through like some awakenings within our own personal selves and trying to understand ourselves better to make our relationship stronger. We're just, we don't have a lot of the energy it takes to do things that, like before pre-pandemic or pre-awakening, we would just be like, okay, well, let's just suck it up and do this. Yeah. But now we're like recognizing, well, that's not really very good for me. So I'm going to avoid doing that because that doesn't sound like it's going to be helpful or healthy for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it just gets a little bit out of my bubble, I start freaking out. Yeah. Because, again, it goes back to that. I know some things are meant for certain people and some things are not meant for other people, but it just really sucks when someone is kind and gentle and then they're taken by cancer. I just don't know what to do with that. I don't know that shouldn't be meant for that.
Well, I think
person.
That's why some people turn to a higher power.
Yeah, I get it's right.
It's because they can't understand what happened or why, and so if they go, well, it was just God's will, or that was part of your God's plan for you. We can't question that. It just takes a little bit of that stress and anxiety off of them. To write it off to something they can't control, right?
I can see that.
Or explain, but then they have an explanation for it because. You just have to have faith.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. I'm not bagging on people whose belief system is that way at all.
No, I
get it.
I have triggers
but
about it.
Yeah, I have trauma from it and I also just don't believe it. And in some ways it just kind of, the further I get away from it, the more ludicrous it sounds to me. Right? So
the things that you were told and stuff, right?
Yeah, not people having belief structures and finding community and stuff, not that part.
But like what you personally
the stories of the Bible and like, how people make giant leaps of logic in order to make things line up.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm dealing with this week. On top of being a bad storyteller, apparently.
No, you're not a bad storyteller.
I was asked by a 5-year-old.
You have to. I don't want. No. You have to write it down.
Wait, hang on. I was asked by a child to come up with a story. And so I did. And it was not exactly what she wanted. And
she is a little bit.
Tears.
She's a little bit of a play controller.
Yikes! It's Scorpio season. I should have known not to deviate.
Maybe
from any kind of shenanigans.
Maybe she is a Scorpio, so.
Oh boy!
We'll have to see. Her birthday's coming up. Your birthday too.
Yikes!
Awesome,
but I'm not a Scorpio.
No, you're Sag.
I'm a Sagittarius.
Great job. Again, so that's also something that feels like that's something I've always kind of bought into a little bit.
Was astrology?
It was astrology and
I think
Chinese astrology, but also the further, maybe it's just the older I get, the more ludicrous those things sound.
It's crazy talk, I know, but
Well, I wouldn't go as far as crazy talk, but it is not really based on anything
concrete
science.
Yeah.
But I also am a little bit fascinated by how consistently it lines up. It's not perfect 100% of the time.
Wouldn't it still be the same kind of thing as religion where you kind of twist it to fit?
Yeah.
Or until it fits?
No, I agree with that because I remember reading something about and I think I've said this before on the podcast, something about cancers being very content. And I was like a small child when I read that, and I was like, oh, I like the way that sounds. I'm going to fulfill the prophecy of being a Cancer.
Yeah.
And then there are other things like numerology and like names and stuff. And those things tend to line up too. Not 100% of the time, not for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like that magic trick where the mentalist trick, actually, it's not really an illusion. It's a mentalist trick where they ask you a series of questions and then guess that you're thinking of an elephant. And like 96% of the time, it was an elephant. Every once in a while they drop the ball and it wasn't an elephant, right?
Yeah.
But it's that kind of a thing where it's just enough where you go, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
But also, I know that it's all like just, fun. It's just fun, I think.
Yes.
I think it's fairly harmless.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yes, that part is harmless, right?
All of astrology and numerology and all that stuff is harmless until you turn it into like a religion and decide your decisions based on those things.
Yeah, right? Or you start hurting people or yourself about, no, a Sagittarius doesn't cry or whatever it is, right?
Well, it's
until you use it in a mean, conniving way, it would be fun.
Until you weaponize it.
Yeah.
Right.
Until you make it something that it's not supposed to be.
I think it's akin to noodles and No Bones Day. Right? It's just something fun to kind of take our minds off of all of the garbage.
Yeah.
And I think that's how astrology really works, right? Is it just kind of gets you like, you go, oh, well, it says today that Cancers are supposed to be having a great day and we're going to meet somebody new and special.
Yes.
And then you self-fulfill that prophecy, right? Uh-huh. But it's not really based on anything true, right? And I'm not saying, I want to be very clear, I'm not saying that the rotation of the earth and the moon and the planets don't have some effect on us.
Right.
I'm just saying that, most of it's kind of like just fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like noodles, bones, no bones, right? I've been following that little pup ever since I found him, and it doesn't always line up, right? But it's just fun to think about it.
Yeah.
And it does take your mind a little bit off of the garbage going on, and who knows? We're headed straight for the collapse of society, so
come on,
let's just ride little noodles.
Let's keep it a little hopeful,
let's ride noodles into the oblivion.
Ridiculous.
I've been having kind of a stressful week for a couple of reasons. One I cannot disclose. The other one is that Old Man Logan, the
comic that we talked about last week.
Yeah, so the original book that sparked the comic run, that's great. And the first few trade paperbacks for the comic books were keeping my attention. Mm-hmm. And now I'm at a point where it's kind of sunk back to that, comic standard of like problem of the week. Mm. How will our Cape Crusader get out of this one?
Oh no.
Like, okay. That's not fun, really, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like a little bit bored with it. I'm kind of like, oh, this isn't really, doesn't even have the same vibe anymore.
Oh,
of that original book.
Is it written by a different person at that point?
It's written by a different person and drawn by a different person. I don't really like the art in the one I'm on right now. I think it's the 6th or the 7th trade paperback out of 10. And I don't know. He's in a different timeline, but he's just right back with the X-Men. The only difference is he's just old. And it's like,
okay, we've seen this.
Yes, I've seen this a bunch of times. Put me back where he's trying to get back to Bruce Banner, the baby Hulk. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's trying to save the world.
Yeah.
Let's talk about jumping back and forth between timelines, right? Like,
right.
Why are you just sitting on your ass now? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'll finish it. I'm going to finish it, but it's just been kind of a bummer that I've kind of hit the wall with it. And then I had a couple of board games come in that were disappointments.
No, that's a bummer.
But tomorrow starts the Clarity Conference for design systems.
Yay.
And
That's
I get
exciting.
to find out what's in those snack packs.
It's a virtual conference, right? So you don't have to go anywhere, which is nice for me.
My favorite kind of conference is the one where I can just get on video, and then when I'm done, emotionally, I can get off of the video.
Yes. And I don't have to single parent it.
No.
For 3 days, 4 days.
And if you need me, I can leave because they're recording them, and I can just come back later and watch the recording if I miss the talk.
This is the type of thing that I think is really the only good parts of the pandemic that I'm liking, is that now everything's kind of virtual. Everyone's like pivoting and making things virtual. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, please. Yes. Yeah. Like, this is what it's always should have been, but people are too much people, and they need to be around other people and pass germs to other people face to face, rather than, because you used to come home after 4 or 5 days, and I'm spent after that time alone. You're spent after that time alone, and then you come home and then you feel sick, and I'm like, oh, that's just a common cold. But now it's even more dangerous. So I'm so glad that it's like a virtual deal.
I am fairly outgoing, but I do have a small social battery.
Right? You have a limit.
I have no problem talking to people.
None whatsoever.
At all.
Hate it.
I enjoy being around people up to a point. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say that I'm like a people person.
Right.
Right? Because for me, like, a people person is somebody who gets their energy from other people. Yeah. I don't. I enjoy talking to other people. I enjoy hearing myself talk. I enjoy talking. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy interacting with people who I'd never interacted with before. Yeah. But to a point. There's a point where I'm like, okay, I'm done now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back to the hotel, and I'm going to lay on the bed watching reruns of This Old House until I fall to sleep. Okay? Yeah. That's what I would like to do for the rest of this evening. Yeah. And it is not go to a bar with you.
Right.
Right? Because I don't drink. And even if I did drink, I don't know that I would drink in a strange city at night.
With strangers.
With strangers at night. Like, that just doesn't that seems like a recipe for disaster. Yeah. So conferences have never been a good thing for me. Right?
But they have been mandatory for you.
There was a time.
From certain companies that you've been employed at. And there was a time, don't like it.
Yeah. There was a time when it was mandatory, and it was a bummer. Yeah, I like that we can do these. This is going to be my second conference this year that was 100% virtual. Mm-hmm. And I can
This one seems way more fun than the other one.
Well, the other one was a 1-day, just rapid fire, no breaks kind of thing, but it was free. Yeah. This one had a cost to it, which is going to be covered mostly by my job's professional development fund.
Which is good.
But
it seems way more fun. It's got stickers.
Yeah, they sent me a swag box with like a cool beanie.
And a little tea.
Little like bags every day of tea for each day, and a little snack for each day.
I think it's cute.
A little pin. And did I say the beanie already?
You said the beanie. A little notebook with some stickers.
A little field notes book with some stickers.
It's going to be great.
And there was one other thing that I was talking about online. Oh man, I can't remember what it was.
You'll remember.
Maybe someday. I don't know. And then the other thing was, which I can't really talk about, I can't get into, just was a bummer. It was a bummer thing that happened, and I got my hopes up, and then it didn't work out. Right. But I did get some good news from one of my freelance clients today, so that's good. Good. That's gonna be very helpful in the future, which I really like. And that's pretty much it. That's been my week. I do keep like glancing out of the corner of my eye and seeing this game right here and going, I gotta sleeve that.
You gotta put sleeves on the cards.
But I haven't like had time to do it. So what I need to do is I need to move this box out of my eye line so that it doesn't distract me during the day. Yeah. But other than that, it's been a mostly good week. Oh, I broke my plateau. We forgot about that. Oh yeah. I've been on a plateau of weight loss, just maintaining, haven't been gaining weight, but I haven't been going down, right? Like a few ounces here and there. Yeah. But then, we decided, let's try this
2 walks a day.
2 walks a day, and let's, take away the snacks that we had slowly been adding in.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, plateau broken. And so
Yeah.
we're back on track again. That feels very nice. So that was a good start of the week, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And the 2 walks a day, it feels really good. I went on the second walk today by myself because you were otherwise occupied.
Yeah.
So this is the first time that I've been able to listen to music while walking.
Uh-huh.
And it was like kind of a different experience. I almost started crying
Oh, no.
on the second lap. This is going to sound terrible. I was listening to Harry Styles.
Oh.
And he was singing so sweetly in my ear. And I was just out there and I put my head up. I could just feel the breeze. It was nice. It's starting to get cold now, like October-y
Finally.
briskness. Yeah, end of October.
26
Thanks
days.
a lot. And I just felt like I was doing the right thing. I was going in the right direction.
Oh, cute. You know what we should do is we should just play music while we walk.
Yeah, there's no reason we can't.
No. It'll drown out the construction and the... We should just play music. What is it going to matter?
It's not going to matter. I like listening to music when I'm exercising.
Yeah.
The only thing is the noise canceling AirPods.
Yeah, I
can hear every footstep.
Okay, and
Dum, dum, dum,
and I don't recommend wearing...
No, I put it on transparency because I couldn't stand the hearing my own footsteps.
I don't recommend wearing earphones or AirPods while you are out of the house, especially women, because that can be used against us.
Yeah, see, that's the thing too, right? Is because I'm just an enormous man. I don't think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. That's probably smarter.
I usually have a little bit of an issue because I use them when I use my tractor, mowing the yard and stuff. I'm very aware of my surroundings at all times.
In our fenced backyard
But
on the tractor.
when I'm in the front yard, I'm very aware of people and cars, and I'm like an owl. My head swivels.
Yeah.
I make sure that I am very, very safe. So I would not recommend any woman, any woman at all, to be wearing an obvious set of earphones or headphones in any kind of way.
God save anybody who attacks you, because you are armed to the teeth.
They will lose their eyes,
some part of their genitals, because
absolutely,
you're armed to
genitals.
the teeth, and you are not afraid to attack the vulnerable spots on the boss. Yeah, I get it.
But just be safe out there. You know what I'm saying?
You also, though, have a really good "don't fuck with me" face.
Yeah.
When you're out in public.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, and you are a taller lady. Mm-hmm. You're just not a good.
Yeah, and I've got tattoos and usually a mouthy shirt on.
You do not look like somebody. You do not look like somebody who would be easy to take, right? And so, I think that the majority of those people who do that kind of stuff are cowards.
Well,
and
absolutely.
They look for easy prey.
They're
right?
predators.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got my keys on my belt loop.
Yeah.
I've got my knife in my other pocket. Yeah, I'm safe when I go out, but I'm safe.
Big old thick boots on, and I know you got a knife on you at all times. I wouldn't mess with you.
You got to nowadays. I mean, people are crazy. All right.
Okay.
They are. I'm saying.
It's just you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Okay.
All right, let's get into it.
Get into what?
What we're talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, after this dead air blank commercial, where this commercial should be. All right. Are you ready to get into this week's topic?
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk about a movie we just watched.
Okay.
I do not want to recap the movie.
No.
I don't even want to get really into the details of the movie.
Nah.
There may be spoilers, so please watch the movie Dune on HBO Max before you listen to this episode. If you don't want to be spoiled. But if you've read the book, then don't worry about it, because it's not even the full fucking book.
Or if you don't care about either one, you can just hear us talk about it.
So here, it's the movie Dune. Now, I've seen the original 1984 Dune with Sting and, Kyle MacLachlan.
I've seen 3/4 of that one.
Well, yes. Yes, you have. Mm-hmm. You've seen 3/4 of the director's cut, which is a little bit different of a movie than the original that I saw originally.
Oh, okay.
just got some extra added stuff in it. But it's trying to encapsulate the entire story of the first book in one movie, but it kind of fails because it's just not long enough and there's so much that they leave out.
Yeah.
From what I heard, because I have not read the book. I would like to read the book, but it's 620 pages and I have a really
603. And
I have a hard time reading long books because I feel like I'm never going to finish this. Mm-hmm. The longest book I've ever read was Salem's Lot by Stephen King. And is that longer? I think that's the longest book. The longest book I've ever read was written by Stephen King. It was either Salem's Lot or it was one of the Dark Tower trilogy.
I think it's the Dark Tower
books.
ones.
But it was like a lot of pages.
Yeah.
No, Order of the Phoenix is like 800 pages. So that's probably the longest book I've ever read. Doesn't matter.
You've read some long books.
I've read a couple of long books, but it was a struggle.
Yes.
On all of them because I have a really hard time focusing on books. Mm-hmm. Because what I'll find is I'll get to like the next page and go, why am I thinking about chickens right now? What just happened? I have to go back and reread the page, right?
Yes.
Because my mind will wander.
Mm-hmm. You know what, though?
Yeah.
Because our kid has that same exact problem. So I, in all my genius here,
super genius,
I have thought of audiobook. So you listen to Audible, read the book, and you follow along.
Oh.
Or you can just listen to the book. No, I think it's the same thing.
I actually think that might help me because if I just listen to the book, it won't. Because I can't listen to podcasts when I'm working because I lose. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I lose complete track of what's going on.
But if you follow along, which is what I have him do, and he's reading like Gilgamesh now, which is supposedly the oldest text on, in the world, in the history of the world. And he's reading Gilgamesh and listening to it being read on Audible. And he's following along. He's following it. He's doing great. So we've done that for the last 3 books now. It's been
maybe I'll try that with Dune.
Really helpful.
Because it's a story that I am very interested in.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool IP and I'm really, really interested in it. But I have not been able to read the book. So anyways, we watched the movie Dune Part 1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Part 1.
And it's
Part 2 has been greenlit.
It just got greenlit today, which I don't know if that's because everybody is like, come on, what are you talking about? Why don't we have Dune Part 2 even announced yet?
Oh, by the way, but it's got some great people in it.
It has. All right, so you like Timothée Chalamet?
Okay, and
for some reason I don't know why.
Well, so.
He's being overused right now, in my opinion, for the quality of actor he is.
Okay, but
I'm not saying he's a bad actor.
Okay.
I'm just saying he's not the quality of actor that requires you to put him in every fucking movie.
I get that. But so is that one guy. What's that one guy that played
Yeah, that one guy. I agree.
What's his name? Come on. Guardians of the Galaxy guy.
Oh, Chris Pratt, sure.
He is in everything too.
No, and I agree. I'm not denying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying down with Chalamet and up with Pratt. I agree. Okay. Down with both.
Okay. Well, then
less for both.
Then we agree. Yeah. But we got to have people have got to have their heartthrobs somewhere, right? So, Luke Perry was everywhere too in the 90s.
Now, I don't know what Paul Atreides is supposed to look like.
He's a 15-year-old young kid, so it doesn't really...
But if we're basing it off of what the original casting of Kyle MacLachlan, the Chalamet makes sense to me, if that's roughly what he's supposed to be and look like. Mm-hmm. But then MacLachlan makes less sense to me.
It does, because in the book, I am a little ways into the book because a couple of years ago
we were 69.
Well, page 70.
Dude. You blew it.
A couple of years ago, you had told a long time ago, you had told me that it was one of your dad's favorite books was Dune.
No, the whole Dune series.
And so I was like, but then a couple years ago, I'm in Barnes and Noble and I see this like glowing orange book cover and I'm like, and I pull it out and it's Dune. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll get this. It's hardcover. All the page endings are blue, but then it's got this orangey cover. I'm going to get it. That's great. And then I hear that this movie is coming out. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, that's even better. Yeah. And so now I'm really into the book. I'm full on into the book at page 70. It's really great. He's a 15-year-old space kid. He doesn't have any experience other than what he's been taught by his kind of witchy mother and his people.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Because he's an heir to the Atreides house or whatever. So he's
a prince.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So he's supposed to look like a little kid.
Yeah. Great. I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad casting. He is kind of
it's oversaturated market right now.
Chalamet.
I get it.
Chalamet. But I will say this, and then I'll get to my other point. He was pretty good on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
The time that he hosted Saturday Night.
Yeah. But Jason Momoa's in everything too. He's everywhere all of the time.
We're losing my point now.
Oh, okay, sorry.
About
Go
my
ahead.
father. You said that.
I'm so sorry.
You said that you wanted to read Dune because I had said my dad liked Dune. Mm-hmm. I want to point out that my dad loved Dune, but he also loved The Hobbit. But he also loved everything L. Ron Hubbard wrote, and I think he might have become a Scientologist. He was just too poor to do so.
However, okay, yes, possibly, because you know why? Because, and I don't mean to bring, yucky feelings into this whole thing, but he did go through AA, right?
Right.
And so they, as Scientologists, fund those AA meetings and AA programs.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so then they'll pass around their books.
Oh. But L. Ron Hubbard was sci-fi stuff, wasn't it? Like originally?
In the beginning, yes. But then he started believing his sci-fi.
That he was the Messiah, yeah.
Yeah, he started believing in his science fiction bullshit.
Yeah,
and
Battlefield Earth.
So they kind of preyed on, they do the same thing for women's shelters and homeless shelters as they pass around their quote unquote reading materials.
I mean, that's the same as any religion though.
Exactly.
Right? Most shelters are based out of like a Christian or Catholic church.
Right.
So it's not surprising to me.
No, it's not surprising, but that's why, is because there are certain programs aimed towards people with alcoholism and drug addictions that they will go through a program and then they will come out feeling better because
that makes a shit ton of sense, because he did get into those books while he was in recovery. And I don't remember him talking about or reading those books much after. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, Dune. The movie Dune. It takes place on a big dirty planet that has worms.
Arrakis.
It has worms, and nobody's trying to use ivermectin to get those worms out of there, but they do want the space drugs, the beautiful, beautiful space drugs to help them jump through space. Okay. This is the whole thing. The emperor of all space is like, you know what? I think the Harkonnens have had like plenty of space drugs. It's time to pull them off. Okay. We're going to get them off of Arrakis and we're going to put, a little bit of a military coup here. We're going to put the House Atreides in there. And we're going to tell House Atreides, hey, it's just your turn for Spice Drug Planet, right? For the drug planet.
Which I think is, and it's a very obvious trap. It's a trap.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's obvious to the Atreides until they get there.
No, it's obvious. I mean, it's obvious to it's obvious to Leto. He knows.
Maybe
he can see it.
Okay, and I will grant you that. So they get there for their space drugs. Then it just starts a war basically because, blah blah blah, this and that. Also, I just want to say really quickly, space drugs, I'm on board. Space drugs that help you time travel, I'm there. But why didn't the soundtrack have a single Lady Gaga song?
Okay, you've been saying this for 3 days. I have no idea what you were talking about.
I just feel like you cannot make a movie or a story about space drugs.
What the fuck?
That doesn't include a Lady Gaga song in the title credits.
Okay.
If you're going to let Billie Eilish sing about James Bond, you have to get Gaga in there to sing about them space drugs.
Okay.
She was born this way.
I agree.
She's in a bad romance right now. Okay.
Okay, I agree.
I just feel like you got to have the Gaga if you're going to have the space drugs.
I don't know. I think it's
Oscar Isaac. Let's talk about how beautiful that man's beard was.
Yes.
That guy
can
grow an amazing beard.
He should only wear a beard.
I get constant compliments about my beard.
So should Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Always have a beard.
Oh, no, yeah, because in the movie he doesn't have a beard and you go, whoa, that does not look like Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
That looks like Duncan, Idaho, which is a dumbest sci-fi name. Of all the states, do you choose Idaho?
Well,
look, I get that Arrakis has Mount Idaho, right? I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
But it didn't have to be Mount Idaho because he made that shit up.
That's true.
And he could have named it Mount anything.
Yeah.
That sounded more spacey. Idaho is like the least space sounding name.
Yeah.
Other than like Missouri.
It's a Native American word, right? So, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
How
like,
would it be on Arrakis?
That's what I'm saying. It's like a very indigenous name. And you're going to tell me that Idaho lasted 20,000 years?
Yeah, because it's supposed to be 20,000 years after Earth, right?
Right, because it's 10,000 years after computers basically ruined everything. And then another 10,000 years after that. So it's 20,000 years after Earth, right? After present day, which, when he wrote the book in the 60s, whatever.
Yeah.
But you're going to tell me that the name Idaho lasted that long and none of the other names that we came up with? I mean, no. Please, no.
It's pretty cool, I think.
But I back to the beard. I get an enormous amount of compliments about my beard.
You do.
People are always telling me, that is a handsome beard.
Yeah.
I can't believe.
They have stopped you in the stores.
Yes.
Grocery stores.
Yes, because I've cultivated a very nice beard. But Oscar Isaac's beard makes me so jealous.
Well, he's got
like,
that
doesn't even
really
have to try.
thick curly hair anyways.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's such a beautiful beard. But the man is already like really beautiful. And he's super talented. Did you see him singing the hippopotamus song on the Fallon clip?
I heard that, but
I can't believe
heard
that.
of it, but no.
I was so shocked. Like when somebody who's like, what's his name from Supernatural that plays Dean? I can't remember his real name.
Jensen Ackles?
Yes, Jensen Ackles.
He's got some beautiful freaking genetics.
Gorgeous dude. But
shut up.
But he can also sing.
What the? Nuh-uh.
Yes, like really good.
No.
I'm not kidding you. And he likes to sing the old school, like, arena rock band songs. And he's really good at it.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's just like, nah, that doesn't seem right. Like, that's two things? You got two things?
No, it's not fair. No. Have you seen his babies?
Yeah. Well, he also married
a beautiful lady.
Genetically beautiful lady, too.
And then they had beautiful baby twins. Like, just shut all the way up.
Yeah. And then they have like a really fancy house in Texas that they've like done a bunch of custom stuff, personally done a bunch of custom stuff on. It just makes me sick to my stomach. It's just like, get out of here. Get out of here. You guys have too much going for you. You like won all the lotteries. I will say that I don't know this actress's name, which I feel like I should because I've seen her in a lot of stuff. I just can never remember. But the actress that played Lady Jessica, she did a really good job in that role.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and very good. And
this
she's
is
very
part one,
true
and so,
to the book too.
Yeah. And this is part one. So all the commercials made it seem like it was going to be Jason Momoa and Zendaya and Timothy Chalamet as the main characters.
Yeah.
But really the main characters are Lady Jessica and Timothy Chalamet throughout most of the movie. It's focused on them too.
Lady Jessica's real name is Rebecca Ferguson.
See, that's why I can't remember it.
Why?
Because it just it's like Rebecca Ferguson is like the lady that checks us out at the grocery store. It just doesn't sound like an actress's name.
Oh, okay.
Right?
It's not really a stage name.
It doesn't really stick in your head. But anyways, she did a fantastic job.
Yes, and I can really pick like her description in the book is very her.
Yeah.
It's very her.
I can't remember the name of the actress who played her in the original movie, but it was a blonde lady. Jessica, was it? No. Jessica's coming to mind. I don't think it was Jessica.
The 1984 version?
Yeah.
Let's see.
She did a fine job, but I don't think it was as good as
Francesca Annis?
Yeah. See, I don't remember that either. But I just really liked the way that she played that character. And I was very happy with the way that role seems to be going. Just based on the first movie, I feel like I kind of understand that character's arc. And it does feel like it's following that same arc, but it just feels a little bit more like realistic. Right? And I do like Chalamet's portrayal of Paul. And I do like so much more the action sequences in this one. In the original movie, it's so like, especially if you watch it now. Yeah. But even back in the 80s, it was like, that's a stretch.
And they did all of the internal dialogue as a whisper in the older movie, and I didn't. It took me out of it every single time.
All the narration stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of more facial expression or more dialogue in certain ways, they just made all of their internal dialogue whispering. Yeah. I'm like, if I didn't have subtitles on this damn thing, I never would understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I didn't finish that one because the book seems to be a lot better.
Well, now I feel like I gotta read the book, and I'm gonna try that.
I think you do.
I think I have a credit on Audible, so maybe I'll see if they have Dune, because that really could work for me. If I have to listen actively and follow along in the book, that might actually keep me focused on it.
Yeah. And I mean, you can use headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure. Use headphones. I do think that I wish they had not used Josh Brolin to play Gunny because...
Yeah, and I think they are, from the book, I think they're combining two characters into Josh Brolin's character.
Oh, yeah?
And so it's a little like, I don't know, it's a little weird.
I don't think he's a bad actor, and I haven't necessarily disliked roles he's been in, but I don't like the way that he runs things in his private life. And it really makes me mad that he can get away with being abusive to his ex, to his ex or his current or whatever, and just continue working. That just it just feels like to me that people who do that kind of stuff and get away with it, I don't want to support in any way. And so I'd rather him not being in there. I didn't like him being Thanos either in the Marvel movies.
But it was a little bit more disconnected because he was wearing like he has like a lot of...
Yeah, he had a lot of makeup, so it was much harder to see. But this is Josh Brolin.
And this goes back to my actual like thing a long time ago, is that we shouldn't know their personal lives.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying, because it ruins it. Because
so frustrating.
I go, that guy hit Diane Lane. Why?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is he in this movie? You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
So,
I would rather not know anything about their, but it's so everywhere that you're just like, you can't help but know it.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Javier Bardeen. Javier Bardeen
is the leader of the Fremen.
And I think he's great.
So good.
All of the stuff with the Fremen so far has been awesome.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. All of the costuming is really top notch.
And I didn't think...
Very believable.
Yeah, I didn't think that I would, because I'm like, who's wearing black outfits on a... Liam and I were talking, and we're like, who wears black outfits on a desert planet?
Right.
But I get it. They're using... It's called still suits or something. Yep. And it collects all their moisture from their bodies and replaces it so they can drink it. So obviously, yes, you're going to wear something like that. That's really cool technology. And then they wear like a shawl or a scarf type thing over top of it to kind of distract from
I think it's believable. I think it's a believable thing, especially when they, they explain the technology when they're suiting up Leto, right? They're explaining how it works and stuff. And you're like, believable. No worries. I get it. They're going to ride those worms at some point. I'm down.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And their sacred type of sword is the tooth from those worms, the sandworms.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff there. I will say, though, and then, unless you have more to say, I'm done. I will say that I am disappointed that they decided to break the storytelling up into multiple movies, but didn't secure the making of those other movies before releasing this one. Because when they did that with Lord of the Rings, we were like, okay, great. We've ended with, Frodo and Samwise, they're standing on the top of the mountain, movie over. But we know in November, a new one coming out.
Yes.
Right? In this one, up until today, we didn't even know if we're getting a second movie. And so it was just a dumb ending. Right? If they never make another movie, that movie sucks.
Yeah. But I think it
doesn't wrap anything up.
Yes. But going a little bit old school, right? Star Wars, right? Did they think that they would be able to do 2 and 3 and
I don't know.
5 and 6? Did they really think that they'd have another?
I don't know how that went. I know that when they made Star Wars, I don't think he was really at a point in his career where they were just like, 3 movies, greenlit. Right. He had to make Star Wars and it had to do well for them to make Empire, because Empire came out several years later. But Star Wars doesn't end abruptly and weird. It's a Star Wars, the movie, is a complete story in itself. Yeah. And if they never made another Star Wars movie, you wouldn't feel like you're missing anything.
That's kind of true. But doesn't 5 end? 5 ends a little weird, right?
Not really, though. Like, I do feel like the first 3 Star Wars movies,
4, 5, and 6,
are completely encapsulated in themselves. And then the prequels, we knew we were getting all 3. And the sequels, we knew we were getting all 3. So it wasn't a real big deal if they left a little bit of a cliffhanger or some story to tell.
Yeah.
But in those first 3 movies, I feel like they really could stand alone. It's like The Matrix, right? The first Matrix, you don't need any other Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
That movie stands alone. Right? The ending is brilliant. If they never make another Matrix, that ending is brilliant.
Of the first one?
Right.
Yeah.
I like the other 2 movies. Not a lot of people agree with me, but I liked them, and I'm excited about the 4th one.
I'm excited about the 4th one.
Super excited about it. I think they're great movies. And I love the Lord of the Rings movies, but I also knew when I was in the theater watching Frodo and Samwise, giant close-up of Elijah Wood's beautiful blue eyes, and then cut to dark, I knew I was going to be back in 3 months to watch the next part. Yeah. Because it was already done. Yes. They were already advertising it, right? Or when they broke the Harry Potter, the 6th movie into 2 pieces. Yeah. I knew when I watched the first one in July that in November, the second one was coming out. No worries. But we just saw the title card today and just found out that they greenlit it. And then Dennis said, oh yeah, I'll be available to start filming it in 2022. Why didn't you start making it already?
Yeah. I can see that.
I can't imagine that
I think the where they're coming from, though, is that it's a book. Lots of people have already read it. They already know the whole story of it anyways. It's just now then they're bringing it to new audiences. True.
If you're not going to make the full story from the book, condensed or not, you want to make a trilogy, an epic trilogy from one book. Yeah. Thank you. Don't leave me hanging. Yeah. This is why I have not started reading Game of Thrones. Because I don't know if that guy's going to die before he finishes the books. Right? And I don't want to get to that last book and then just be like, come on, Joe. Oh, no.
Right.
Right? If he finishes the series, I'll read them.
Right.
If he dies not finishing the series, I'm just going to be glad I didn't start him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see your point. Yes. I see your point. Anyways,
I would give the movie a solid 3.5 Out of 5.
Out of 5.
Yeah, that's how I rate things. Out of 5. Actually, this is how I rate things. Yeah, it's good. I'd not watch it again. But I think I would give it, I think I would have loved it if it was just the whole story. Even truncated. I don't care about truncating stories to fit cinema, right? Cinema is a different kind of storytelling medium, and you can fit a lot of the context of the book into the visuals.
Yeah.
Right? But I think a lot of filmmakers mess up when they're adapting a book is they try to put too much of the book's description of things into the actual dialogue, which is unnecessary. I don't need you to hold my hand. Show me with the visuals the things that they're describing to me, because that's how a book does it. A book shows you things in your mind's eye through description.
Yeah.
The movie can just show me.
Yeah. I go back and forth, and I've talked about this a lot with our kids, that I don't think they should be making movies from books. I really just don't, because a lot of times it gets ruined, or a lot of times it's not what people are envisioning in their heads.
Right.
And so, some movies are ruined that way. Some books are ruined that way. I don't feel like they should just do it. I think they need to come up with new things for movies and leave books alone.
Well, that would be awesome. But then we lose the last 2 decades of movies.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's lame. I go back and forth.
But that's the thing, though, is that I've had a really hard time being able to, or wanting to read Dune, because I know that I will fail at it. But I like the idea of the story. And so if I can watch it in a movie form, I can get the gist of that story and then still love it and be on board with everybody who loves the book, right? And I don't have to know the full story to get it.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Right?
But
plus, I love the Harry Potter book. Well, I loved the Harry Potter books and I loved the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Because what they were was more of something I liked.
Yeah, but some people are not as logical and can put it that way as you do.
Maybe.
The problem that I have with the Harry Potter movies
is that J.K. Rowling is a turf.
Well, yes, she's a turd for sure. But yes. Now, I read those books, loved those books, read them to my kids, loved it, right? Yep. That world is super fantastical. You want to live in that world, right? When you watch the movies, you get some of that, but you don't get all the little tiny details. And I think that's what books bring to someone's mind much better than movies. You have to watch movies over and over and over again to get all the things. Now, throughout the Harry Potter books, there has been something that the movies have really kind of touched on here and there, but miss every single time for like 8 movies. Right. And that is the absolute dedication and love of Mrs. Weasley for Harry.
Oh, no, for sure.
At every turn, she is there for him.
Yeah.
She is making him a lunch right alongside of Ron.
No.
She is there when he goes to do the cup. She is there for him every single step of the way. And they touch on it here and there in the movies, but not as much as they do in the books.
That's because she sees Harry as her own.
And for me, the moment Harry's mom and dad were taken from the world, she needed to know that Harry was going to be okay. Yeah. And for me as a mom, that's the part that I latched onto, and I wanted to see that happen because I think the casting was really brilliant for those movies. But it's just the little tiny details that I needed.
I do not disagree with you that the books are superior in almost all cases.
Yes.
Okay, there are some rare things like the Holes movie and the Fight Club movie.
That's because they were true to
adaptations.
Exactly.
Adaptations.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that you can't also enjoy the movie if you've already enjoyed the book, or enjoy the movie and then go, I wonder about the book, and then go enjoy the book.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm doing with Dune is that I kind of liked this movie.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't the whole thing, but what I did get, I was like, oh, okay, I like this world.
Right.
And so now I want more of that. So now I'm reading the book, which is what I think you should do.
Yeah.
If you stupidly, but you should wait for the movies and then read the books, because when I was younger, I read Jurassic Park and then however many.
Awful.
The movie on its own could be great, would be great, probably is, but I had already read the book.
Well, no, yeah, you're right.
And then the movie like sucked hardcore to no one's business.
I saw the movie first. I saw the movie first. I didn't know there was a book of it. Saw the movie when I was a kid. Learned later about Michael Crichton and just kind of dove headfirst into his books. And I've read a majority of them, even the earlier, crappier ones.
Obscure ones, yeah.
But Jurassic Park, that whole series of books is incredible.
Yeah.
And makes that movie look like dog shit.
Right.
But if you don't know about the book,
exactly,
the movie's actually a fun time.
Okay. So that's where I can see it, right? But you just never know. But when you're, a nerdy kid and you don't want to watch your brother play baseball every fucking summer, you dive into books, and then you go, 10 years later, there's a movie. Oh, I'm going to watch it. And then you scream because you're like, no, there's only one scene and Jeff Goldblum that's even worth watching in that fucking film. That has nothing to do with that book.
Did you say there's one scene and Jeff Goldblum?
Like, well, Jeff Goldblum's great.
Oh, okay.
He's perfect. And there's that one scene where the T-Rex is stalking the car, and there's little kids in there, and they're terrified, and the water's shaking. That's a perfect little scene. Yeah. The rest of it is bullshit. Okay. Bullshit.
All right. Let's end this with your...
On a scale. Okay.
On a scale of Dune.
Okay.
You don't have to practice it. That's what makes it great, is it's just off the top of your head.
Okay. On a scale of Jurassic Park, the movie, dog shit, to, let's say, Hellboy.
Yeah, because you like the Hellboy movies.
I love the first Hellboy movie.
With Ron Perlman.
With Ron Perlman is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's got the crate of kittens. Oh, that's so great. I love that movie.
It's really wonderful.
On that scale, I would give it pretty good. I'll read the book.
Pretty good. I'm going to read the book. All right. Well,
okay.
I love you.
I love you too.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Lou and Me podcast, subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or Spotify.
And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Lou and Me Podcast.
Lou and Me is a Matthiasaurus production, produced and edited by Moose. The song is No Carpets by the New Forevers, hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.